Welcome to r/Am I the Jerk, where Karen demands to have a baby, but not without her brother's help. That sounds never mind. Am I the jerk for refusing to financially support my sister because she chose to become a single mother? I, 32 male, have a sister, Emily, who's 34. She's always wanted to become a mother, but she hasn't been able to find the right partner. After years of waiting, I suggested she consider IVF treatment. I even helped her research the process and find clinics. She loved the idea and decided to go ahead with it. Emily had the financial means to afford IVF on her own, but it meant she had to cut back on creature comforts and luxuries for the foreseeable future. 2 months ago, after her 4th round of treatment, she got pregnant. The whole family is very happy for her, and she's happy too. She didn't expect it to take so many rounds of treatment though, so the bill ended up higher than she was prepared for. She does have enough money to support herself, but not very comfortably. She asked our family for help so she wouldn't have to make even more sacrifices. Our parents are retired and living on a fixed income, so they can't contribute much. This leaves me as her main source of potential financial support. Last week, Emily sat me down and she asked me for money. I have no issue with people choosing to be single parents if they can afford it, but I don't believe it's fair to ask others to finance such a personal choice, especially when there are significant long-term financial commitments involved. I have a wife and a newborn son of my own. While we do have some extra money, we're using it to keep our little family comfortable and to save for a bigger house. We currently live in a single-bedroom condo. I told Emily that I wouldn't be able to help her pay the bill. Emily was heartbroken and furious. She argued that our family is supposed to support each other and that I'm being selfish and judgmental. Our parents are also upset with me, saying that I'm not being a good brother. They think I should help her because she's family and this is her dream. They're especially upset because it was my idea and I helped her research it. I offered to help Emily by letting her eat dinner with us every night since she lives close to us, and by letting her use my car, which is cheaper since it's electric. She said that's not nearly enough. But I have my own family to think about and my own financial goals to achieve. I feel it's unreasonable to put myself in a difficult financial position for something that's Emily's personal choice, even if I initially suggested it. So, am I the jerk for not supporting her financially? Edit. My sister is a homeowner with a slightly bigger house than mine, making slightly more money than I do. She can absolutely afford to have a kid. She took from savings to pay for the 4th round of IVF and is rebuilding it as fast as possible by not spending. It isn't like she didn't budget, she just didn't like being frugal. She also didn't take me up on the offer to temporarily trade cars and to eat dinner with my family every night. IVF was not my first suggestion. She wouldn't adopt because she wants a biological kid. She did not use donor IUI because she wanted PGT done to ensure she'd have a boy because that's what she's wanted since high school. I was not involved in her treatment or consultation and I don't agree with her decision. I helped her research because I was trying to be a good brother. Not the jerk for not financially supporting your sister. All of you are significant jerks for encouraging and supporting your sister's dream to be a single parent without considering the costs of IVF plus the costs of raising a kid. She's 34 years old. Does she understand what a budget is? She sounds like she has 7 months to figure it out. Your parents aren't in a position to give her money, but what can they do? Childcare? Share a home so it's cheaper for all of them? You're still working on getting a bedroom for your own kid. Not the jerk. It's not your fault that she went through 4 rounds of IVF. She should have stopped when she couldn't afford it anymore. Who goes to the doctor with a blank check? She was irresponsible, and it's not like she's about to be homeless. She just has to make cuts. You have a family to support. The moment she became entitled to your money is where she lost any sympathy for me. You're not her baby daddy. She did this to herself. If she can't handle this level of responsibility now, how's she going to handle real parenthood? Am I the jerk for telling my wife that her hobby isn't a job and it's not helping out our financial situation? My wife, who's 38, and I, 40 male, have been married for 10 years and we have 3 kids who are 9, 7, and 4. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, has been ever since our first was born. I work full-time and I'm blessed to make enough money to provide a quality life for our family. We live modestly and I'm very conscious about not living above our means. By that, I mean we don't live paycheck to paycheck, but we also don't take yearly family vacations, don't buy designer items, still use hand-me-downs, etc. My wife has been extra stressed this summer with all 3 of the kids at home. When the 2 older ones are in school, she's fine, but this summer it's been really hard for her. I've adjusted my work schedule to allow me to spend more time at home to give her time for herself. I take the kids on bike rides, go to parks, swimming, fishing, etc. She has used the majority of this time on her hobby, crafting. She has an entire room dedicated solely to her hobby. She will sometimes sell items she makes or take on specific projects for friends or family members or the odd person from the internet. But sometimes I feel like she spends more time and effort on shopping for materials than she actually does on crafting things. In short, there's no way her hobby has brought in more money than she spent on it. Last week was an especially busy week at my job, and I was unable to flex my schedule to help at home during the workday. My wife complained to me that she needs more help at home and that I need to figure out ways to give her breaks. I told her that I'm doing the best I can, but my job keeps the roof over our heads, and if I need to be at the office, that's what I'm going to do. She said that she has sold some items recently and that her hobby is helping us financially, so I should be doing more at home too. She told me it's basically become a part-time job for her in addition to taking care of the kids. I asked her to tell me how much money she sold the items for and then looked up our most recent credit card statements to see how much she had spent in the same time frame. Even with selling those items, she spent hundreds more on materials. Her excuse was that not all of the materials were for the items that she sold, but for other items as well. I told her that her crafting isn't a job, it's a hobby, and it's not helping us financially. I told her that I'm glad she's selling items and spending time doing something she likes, but using that as an excuse to claim I'm not helping her enough is disingenuous at best, especially when I've taken extra steps to take on more childcare. She told me I was being a jerk for diminishing her contributions to our family, and I told her that's exactly what she did to me first, but at least I'm getting our family to a net positive financial situation. She's still mad at me and still thinks I need to do more to help at home. Not the jerk. First, in a single-income household with a stay-at-home parent, one person having all the responsibility for childcare during the time when the other person is working is not a problem that needs to be fixed. That's literally how it works, unless you're leaving out the fact that she sometimes comes to your workplace and takes over your job so you can take a nap. If she doesn't want to be a stay-at-home mom anymore, that's valid, but it's a completely different conversation. Second, a hobby isn't a business unless at a minimum you're keeping track of your revenue versus costs and trying to make a profit. If she was doing that, again, that's a different conversation, but she isn't. I can help. We had the same situation, and what helped immensely was for her, my wife, to open a totally separate checking account. We agreed how much we'd seed the account with, and that was all hers, but there was no more going in. This took away her "I'm contributing" argument, but also took away from her using our money. While I realize this doesn't fix it 100%, it takes away the largest stressor, and it allows for you to compliment her when she does sell something, which helps her attitude 100%. You're the jerk. What is it with men downplaying their wives' contributions to the family? You get to go to your comfy job while she has to deal with the kids all day. You want to switch roles and see how long you last with them? Would you rather be paying her a full-time salary for providing childcare for your kids? So she has a hobby of crafting that also brings in extra income, and instead of being a decent husband and encouraging her, you're trying to bring her down a peg. Honestly, don't be surprised when she divorces you. I hope she takes you to the cleaners in court. One day, men will learn that they can no longer get away with this kind of crap. Yowza, you've got more issues than Time magazine. My husband just told me he's leaving me, and I can't believe the reason why. I need to give some background. I'm 34, female, and my husband is 38. We've been married for almost 2 years, have dated 2 years before that, so overall a bit more than 4 years. He's always been very insecure about himself, even though he has a great personality, or so I thought. He's generous, caring, he can express his emotions, all of that. When I got to know him better, I couldn't believe he wasn't taken. In fact, he had only been in 2 relationships in his life, both of which were at least 5 years long. He told me that because he's shy and unattractive, women don't really want to have anything to do with him, like ever, especially not good-looking ones. I'm fairly conventionally attractive, and he has kept telling me for the past years how lucky he feels to finally have found his dream woman and then her being as attractive as me. I was wary at the beginning, so I let him court me quite a bit before going out with him for the first time. I was really fearing for some dark secret of his that I just hadn't uncovered yet, but it turns out, no. He's a really sweet guy, just very shy. I also don't think that he's unattractive. He's not in any way super handsome. Originally, I thought he wasn't my type, but his charm melted all of that away quickly. Once we started thoroughly dating, things went fast because it was all so wonderful. Well, recently, he was on his own in the outside area of a restaurant having lunch when this woman walked up and apparently struck up a conversation with him. He's shown me a picture of her since I asked him, and she's drop-dead gorgeous. Maybe I'm exaggerating because I'm so mad, but she definitely looks better than me. I have to admit that. He didn't tell me much about what they talked about, just that she was very friendly and they exchanged numbers, and they started texting more and more often. He says she at some point openly started pursuing him even though she knew that he was married, saying she just really fell for him and can't let this opportunity pass. He said that he was hesitant once he realized she was hitting on him, and he was also excited because this literally has never happened in his life. In the past, he repeatedly said that women, at least attractive ones like me, get to lean back and let the guys approach us, whereas for him, it was always hard work to even get a single date. I always replied that it's not really like that and that being attractive has its own problems, but then he always reminded me of the fact that he had to work really hard to get me to date him too. He swears he has only met her one more time for lunch after the first encounter and that he thinks it's not yet an affair. However, he thinks he wants to go forward with her because, as he put it, "This is the first woman who is genuinely interested in me. I didn't have to text her for 3 months to get a date or anything. I can't let this pass," or something along those lines. My memory is a bit hazy. The 3 months refers to the time it took for him to get a date with me, by the way. And this is why he says he's breaking up with me. He says it's the right thing to do because he wants to continue contact with her, but also feels doing that would be emotionally cheating, and he doesn't want to cheat on me, so he ends it before actually starting something with her. I feel devastated. I know there's nothing I can do. I want to be mad at him, but I'm also mad at myself. I really liked him when we first met. Why did I give him a hard time? If I had said what I wanted back then, if I had pursued him instead of playing hard to get, he probably wouldn't be interested in that woman. But I just acted the way I thought I was supposed to, and now this is what I'm dealing with. And I of course am very mad at him, but he didn't even cheat on me. He's behaving exactly the way I always say people should act when they fall in love with someone else. Ugh, I kinda wished he had actually cheated on me with her. That would actually make it easier. Do not worry. If that woman is drop-dead gorgeous and pursued him while she knew he was married, then she's bonkers and trash, and this will bite both of them in their rear soon enough. This is the case where the trash took itself out. Your husband should have worked on his self-esteem issues and not jump for the first woman who gave him attention like this. You are at no fault in this situation. That's just bananas. I thought I was insecure, but he takes the cake. Feels like you dodged a bullet. Imagine him pulling this after 10 years of marriage and having 3 kids. I'm so sorry, but I don't think there's anything you could have done differently to have a different outcome. He will always be insecure, and this experience will give him validation for a bit, and then he'll continue looking for it outside of himself. Sounds like a classic midlife crisis, and he's willing to throw everything away for an ego stroke. Sorry. I feel for you, OP. You're more gracious than I am. Your husband should have never gotten her phone number, etc., because he's married. How long it took for you to date him when you first met has nothing to do with him being decent and faithful. A random woman walks by and that's all it takes? It's not as if he accidentally fell in love with a coworker. Please remember he did this to you when he comes back for you after his new relationship ends. You deserve better. Good luck. OP. I haven't really asked him why they exchanged numbers, but frankly, I have guy friends that I just meet at bars or events too. I'm sorry. You meet men at bars and get their numbers, and you're married? Clearly, there are issues here that OP has very gracefully left out. Some of the comments OP has made are very telling. OP does not find her husband physically attractive. Here are some of the things she said. He's not exactly Chris Hemsworth. I know, he's not exactly handsome, so why would she talk to him in the first place? It's different though, right? He's a guy, I'm a woman. He shouldn't care so much whether someone is attracted to his looks, should he? When asked if she gives her number to other attractive men she meets to go out for lunch, frankly, all of my friends are a lot more attractive than my husband, and it's not like we keep tabs on each other's lunches. He's realistic. Should I lie about his looks? I love him, and he looks like he looks. It's fine for me, but he's just not, well, only very few people would find him attractive, I think. Would he even believe me if I told him I loved his looks? OP did not reassure her husband that she found him physically attractive despite his strong insecurities about his looks. OP, I know what you mean, but I don't think it's fair. Men and women are different. I know he told me that he always felt unattractive and stuff. I had no idea that men are looking for compliments too. It's not like I normally go around and compliment him. I mean, who compliments men? I value him and cherish him, and I tell him that I love him. That's my appreciation. Sorry, but I probably would have left you too, to be honest. OP finds out her significant other of 3 years is talking to someone else, plus final update. Significant other and I have been together for 4 years, and about 2 years ago, when lockdown hit, I moved in with him as we both lost our respective jobs and needed to save a bit from gas and utilities. Since then, I found a new office job, and significant other takes odd jobs online, but he basically stays at home most of the time. Significant other has always been on the controlling side. He wanted me to cut all my male friends out of my life. Hindsight 2020, I know, but in his defense, he also cut all contacts with women, or at least to my knowledge. Significant other has always been very adamant that he doesn't condone cheating, and even if someone else in his life was a cheater, he would cut them out of his life. The relationship has had its ups and downs. We've had a fair share of arguments, and a few months ago, we hit a rough patch, but recently things were looking okay for a while, or so I thought. Significant other has become quite guarded with his phone lately, including hiding it if I look over his shoulder. He's never done this before, and it's very not like him. I'm a very open person with my personal tech items. He's always welcome to look through my phone and laptop because I have nothing to hide. We even know each other's phone passwords. My gut feeling kept telling me that something was wrong, so when I got up for work this morning while he was still asleep, I admit I shouldn't have done what I did. I took his phone from the nightstand and I checked out his conversations. He's been chatting with a girl that he met online. She's 25. I only skimmed through the last few messages as I didn't want to wake him up and catch me snooping, but they've been texting back and forth every day while I was at work and sending each other pictures. I was so shook. I don't know when it all started, but I assume it's been at least a month because that's when I first noticed the suspicious phone guarding behavior. Honestly, no matter how much I look for a solution, there's no coming back from this. I know I have to leave. I didn't confront him yet because I don't want him to try and persuade me to stay or spin it that it's my fault. I also don't believe in closure, so there's really no use in telling him that I know. Here's where I need advice. I have a place to move to, and I have to move all of my stuff. I don't want him to damage my stuff to spite me or anything. He has a history of doing this, so I'll have people come help me move when he's not in the house. We have separate finances, so that's not an issue. The problem is, we have a dog. I adopted him with his approval when I moved in with him. I'm saying it's technically my dog since I do 90% of the dog activities. He rarely takes him out, and I buy all the dog toys and dog food. Basically, he's the fun parent that gets only the pets and hugs. I know he loves the dog and the dog loves him, but I don't think he'd be able to take care of him and get up at 6 a.m. to walk him. My dog is also very used to the house, so he'll probably be stressed out if I move him. Should I take the dog with me without telling my soon-to-be ex, or should I leave the dog with him? Another thing I need advice for is should I leave him a note or a message with any explanation? Any advice is appreciated. Update. I changed a few details in the original story in case he found it. He uses Reddit too, but it was actually a cat, not a dog. After reading all the comments and making the decision to take the cat, I called my best friend, her boyfriend, and my parents to tell them I'm breaking up and discuss logistics. I also told them not to mention anything in writing on the off chance that my significant other sees the messages. It took me quite some time to put everything in motion, 3 weeks to be precise, in which time I was doing my best to act like everything was okay while secretly moving some of my stuff to my parents' place to ease the final load. Finally, last Friday morning, best friend, her boyfriend, and my dad came over. We loaded up everything on my father's truck and left. The whole ordeal took 1.5 hours. I was honestly amazed how much stuff I managed to accumulate for just 2 years. I took everything that I paid for out of my pocket, including a monitor and a headset that I lent him due to his equipment breaking, and he never bought new ones. The only thing I left was a queen-size bed I bought shortly after moving in. I also made sure to log into X's World of Warcraft account to cancel his subscription, which was paid for from my bank account. I left a note on his desk that basically said, "Do not panic, you have not been robbed. I just took all my stuff and left. I'm taking the cat with me because I don't trust you to take care of her properly. Do not call me, my friends, or my family. We have already had the talk, so there's nothing else to say. Have a nice life. Your ex." I didn't tell him I knew about the cheating because at this point it was irrelevant. In retrospect, it was just the last straw on top of many other problems, but hindsight is always 2020. I blocked his number and never looked back. Sure enough, he messaged me on WhatsApp as soon as he came back to the empty flat. The gist of the messages was that we could have done it the civil way. And why did I take the cat this way? We raised her together and he loves her. He also tried to call 3 times but gave up soon after. I then blocked him on WhatsApp as well. The next few days were pretty uneventful. Yesterday, he showed up at my workplace unannounced. I was pretty annoyed but didn't want to make a scene in front of the colleagues, so I took a break and went out with him to the park across the street. Knowing him, he wouldn't buzz off and leave me alone. He said he wanted closure and that I owed it to him after all these years. The conversation was mostly boring, so I'll highlight the important details. He said he wanted my monitor back and that he's willing to pay for it or trade me his new one, which is better, but wasn't with the same curve that he was used to. I told him that I like my monitor and tough luck. The best part is he went out, bought a new monitor, set it up to play World of Warcraft, but realized that I also took the headset. He then asked his mother to buy him one, and she bought headphones without a mic. Pity. He asked to have the cat back. He offered me money, offered me all of his crypto savings, and even offered me 60,000 gold in WoW. I told him some things can't be bought with money. He then asked to co-parent, and when I said no to that too, he asked to at least say goodbye to her in person, also denied. I brought up that I'm the cat's primary caregiver, and he can't even clean our litter box. He replied he could when push comes to shove, but he didn't since I was doing things anyway, despite him being in the flat almost 24/7. I also pointed out that if he really loved the cat that much, he'd want the best for her and to be with the one who takes care of her, instead of wanting to keep her for selfish reasons. He kind of agreed on that. The most baffling part, he offered to pay me to go grocery shopping together. We used to do that all the time when we were together. I pointed him to a couple of sites where he can buy groceries and have them delivered. He said it was too much work. I told him to adjust and evolve. He also apologized one too many times for hurting me, to which I replied every time I wasn't hurt. I was just disgusted and cringed at the conversations I read, to which he got offended and mumbled that it was private. Not once did he mention the side chick. Even then, he didn't have the courage to admit to the affair. In their messages, there was a recurring joke that if he comes to the hotel where she works, they'd hook up in the janitor's room. I brought her up a couple of times, told him I wished them both the very best, and since I left him the bed, he doesn't have to worry about using the janitor's room anymore. He asked to be friends multiple times, and I told him he betrayed me, and he's a pathological liar, and I don't want to be friends with a dishonest person. He legit couldn't comprehend how his dishonesty impacts a potential friendship. He said he wanted to tell me he wasn't committed to me anymore, but couldn't bring himself to do that. I pointed out the hypocrisy of him blowing up at me for platonically talking to male friends online, but he cheats the moment a semi-attractive woman comes his way. He said that a woman cheating on a man is the greatest sin, but a man cheating on a woman is not so severe. The rest of the conversation was him trying to play buddy-buddy and talk to me about his life, and me reminding him that I'm not interested in his life and that he's a closed chapter to me. After what seemed to be an eternity, we said our, hopefully, final goodbyes, and I went back to work. In conclusion, for the past week since I left, I felt like a huge load has been dropped off my shoulders. I have all the time in the world, I'm working on myself, I'm reconnecting with people I haven't talked to in years, I'm trying to live my best life, and I don't regret anything. There were good times, there were bad times. It was a valuable experience and a lesson learned what to look for in a partner, and more importantly, what not to overlook. 1 year update. Since the breakup, he's messaged me about every 3 months on Discord for various reasons, like how he lost his best friend, or asking for photos of the cat. I didn't block him on there in case either of us needed to exchange items we forgot at our respective places. Sometime in March, I found out by chance that he's still using my old League account. He's been banned on 3 different ones. I gave him the password while we were dating, but I didn't think he would have the audacity to continue using it after we broke up. The kicker is, all it would take would be to ask me to use it and I would have no problem with it. It really rubbed me the wrong way that he could message me with his woe is me crap on 4 different occasions, but conveniently forgot to mention that he's still playing on my account. I wondered for about a week whether to let it slide or just change the password. Then he contacted me again about wanting to ask me something. I shot this down and reminded him that I explicitly told him not to contact me. He said okay. This lasted for a fortnight until he messaged me again saying that he will ask his question regardless. I pointed out how I told him not to contact me and he could not respect that. The question was, what did it feel like to be with a complete monster for 7 years? Why did I stay for so long? Apparently, the lad was going through some kind of epiphany phase. There were a lot of crocodile tear-laced explanations that followed. The gist of it was that he was doing some reflections. He realized he's a complete lunatic and needs help and apologized for how he behaved. I also found out that he spent all his savings and disability money, including the crypto he offered me for the cat, so he could not take me up on the offer to buy my League of Legends account. Sad. Also, to nobody's surprise, his little affair did not work out. I did not ask for details, but what he said was, "I think I finally met a person who is more sick and broken inside than me," which is quite an achievement. A few months prior to this revelation, a World of Warcraft friend from the side chicks country messaged me. For context, we're all Europeans and play on the same servers. Friend knew my side of the story, and when he found out that side chick is flying to my and ex's country, he put two and two together. He told me he does not expect much from their relationship since a year ago the chick was dating a mate of his, broke his heart, and flew somewhere else for the next World of Warcraft guy that gave her attention. Knowing these facts, and after what X said, I mentioned to him how it was ironic that he cried cheating if I was 5 minutes late after work, but decided to involve himself with a woman who was practicing cheating as a sport. He agreed that it was quite ironic indeed and that he had to lay in the bed that he made, which was sort of mature on his part, I suppose. Also, did I mention he was too dumb to wire his own debit card to his World of Warcraft account? This is why he couldn't play anymore. But I guess he also lost his sugar mommy that was paying for it and failed to secure another. As for me and Kitty, we're thriving. I'm active. I lost 12 kilograms since the breakup, and I'm getting back in shape, even though I lost the excess weight the moment I dumped the ex. I've reconnected with most of my friends and apologized for not contacting them much for the past 7 years and explained why. They were very understanding, and things have gone very much to how they were before. I've also met the most decent, kind, and compassionate man out there. So, life is looking good. I spent over $5,000 to embarrass a competitor who treated me like crap. It was totally worth it. So I used to run a small business in the wedding space, and I was very successful in a very short period of time, to the point that I was getting all expense-paid invites to industry conferences less than 6 months after I opened. Needless to say, this ruffled feathers. Enter Kate. Kate is a chief Karen who competes in the same space and has been nothing but awful to me from the moment she became aware that I wasn't just competition, I was doing better business than her. She would complain that I had gotten expenses paid, implied that it was because I was pretty, said that she felt people who had been in the space longer deserved it more, and a statement about how my outfit colors don't look good on me. She also reported my booth for accidentally being less than 3 inches outside our 10x10 slot, and has tried on more than one occasion to have my competing products removed from vendor halls. Needless to say, I despise her. Now, fast forward a little bit into lockdown. I see major issues on the horizon for my business, and so I decided to step out and sell for a pretty penny. Bought a condo, took a job at a nonprofit, and moved along with my life. But some of my friends still in the industry would give me updates or vent, and I was absolutely right to sell. Most everyone doing what I do has already closed, including the person I sold to. Kate, however, was still going strong, though I noticed her prices were really aggressive. My friend then showed me screenshots that Kate had bragged privately about claiming to be unemployed and disabled by using her longtime partner as a cover for her business, then dropping prices below what other sellers could do because she was double dipping. This really made me angry. I have a mobility disability, and I felt horrible for the people she was running out of business by pricing so low. So I, of course, reported her, but nothing seemed to come of that. Then, one of the biggest conferences of our local industry came up on my calendar. This conference cost $8,000 to $10,000 to vend at, and many vendors make 50% plus of their yearly income from this one event. My friend runs the vending hall, so I asked her to place me right next to Kate. Now, when I left the industry, I still had great contacts on the manufacturing side because I speak Chinese fairly well. I found the manufacturer for Kate's top-selling items, and I ordered a sizable inventory to take with me to the conference. I priced them at cost and made ginormous signs about inventory liquidation and created these super aggressive bundle deals that made it nearly impossible for her to do any business being right next to me. I could see her over there fuming, and she did try to come over and complain, but our booth was too busy to even entertain her obnoxious huffing and puffing. She closed her shop last week. I lost about $5,000 doing this, but I got a lot of people deals on packages and items that they never thought they could afford for their special day, and it was honestly fun to help people out, especially at her expense. How can I, male 33, comfort my wife who's 27 and her depression after she fell for a scam and spent $25,000? My wife of 8 years fell victim to a scam, in which she sent roughly $25,000 to a scammer who promised to transfer $10 million to her so that she could help people in Africa. So it was well intended, but did not seek my counsel initially. After she sent $6,000, she then approached me and I pointed out the red flags in the story. She prayed about it and felt that God told her it was the right thing to do. This became a point of contention in our marriage for the past 3 months. She opened and maxed out 2 credit cards to keep it from me. She never lied to me about it when I asked her, but certainly avoided telling me the whole truth. This bled into our normal lives as well. She used to call and text me about her days and things she has questions about. She's withdrawn from me, except for the day-to-day items needed to keep the family running. I feel similar to having been cheated on, just more of a financial affair. I obviously have trust issues when it comes to money with her. I've opened separate accounts and taken her name off my credit cards. There isn't anything left of our savings, including our emergency savings. I've cut my spending back tremendously. I used to go out to eat twice a week and bring food from home the other 3 days. I now only bring food from home. I haven't bought a new video game in the last 3 months. This has impacted my life and limited what I can do. I understand that she is who I married and I have no interest in divorce. I accept this hardship that she brought upon us. I just want to move beyond this and grow back together. This brings me to the point that I am writing for advice about. She told the scammer she isn't sending any more money. They're still in communication, but the scam is starting to fall apart. My wife is becoming more and more depressed as it does. She says this gave her a lot of purpose in her life. I want to comfort her and do whatever I can to bring her out of her depression. I know that time will be my best friend, but I know that I can do things to help. But I'm still angry at her for spending our entire savings and racking up credit card debt. How can I comfort her without condoning her actions? Edit. Thank you to the very few of you that actually offered objective advice on her depression. To the rest of you, shame on you. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.